Hello, YouTube people, and welcome to your most favorite stream at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday related to 3D printing.
Specifically right now, because you have nothing better to do.
That contains two people. One guy's always in the basement, and the other guy's always upstairs. And
and we occasionally release content.
I just noticed that my cats must have been running behind the studio table. My camera is shifted. It's not as far over this way as it normally is. But
I still don't have a permanent mounting solution for my webcam, so it's attached to my helping hands that are being very helpful and handy.
Well, as long as it works, and as long as the camera is seeing this beautiful mess right here, we're good.
Well, we were here for 4 o'clock, but we had to discuss all the politics stuff beforehand. So
right. Tom Lama said, "Friggin' ads always make me miss the start."
Hope you watched the whole ad, though. We deserve that money.
Yeah, well, I like the 6 cents a month that I'm earning. So maybe what I'll do is I will start. We'll start the stream and we'll leave it on a countdown so that you guys have time to watch the ads.
That's
By the
smart.
way, YouTube is starting a new thing that every 15 seconds during a live stream, they're going to put an ad in.
Oh, that's super helpful.
Not really, but that's what it feels like when you're now.
Hey, we should change the name of the stream to the 6 cents.
All right, so we have somebody in the chat, and I can't see the icon because it's tiny, who goes by the name of Matt Cox. And if that's who I think it is an awesome human being that I went to college with. So otherwise, this guy has the exact same name as an awesome human being that I went to college with. If you can call it college.
The old college try.
Bennett said, "Dang, Glenn's getting rich off of this." Oh, yeah, I'm just rolling in them pennies and nickels, man.
You guys still have pennies? Get with the times.
Yeah, we got pennies. Well, I don't know.
That just doesn't make sense.
We still have pennies, but there doesn't seem to be any in circulation because we have a change shortage through the whole country. So
a little change would do you good. I think I have the wrong Glenn. The wrong Matt Cox is looking for the wrong Glenn.
It could be.
What a quinky dinky.
I don't know, but yeah. So what's been happening in the 3D printing world? I have to be completely honest. I have been avoiding social media like the plague because I can't stand the negativity that's in the world right now.
Yep.
And it seems to be so super heavy on Twitter.
And Facebook.
Really, I love the 3D printing community inside, on Twitter, but Twitter as a whole is a sewer.
Twitter is a hole.
I don't know. So I've really been trying to avoid it. I avoid Facebook anyway. I have my Facebook, I have my 3D printing groups in there, but I don't read them much. But otherwise, I just have it full of garbage, like everybody else's Facebook. No, but like specialty, automotive related groups and stuff like that. That I don't care about. But no, otherwise, I am printing. Of course, I'm sitting in front of the printer that's printing.
So if you're printing, should I be playing something?
You should be.
Print and play.
Oh! I have news. The stream from a couple of weeks ago, where Daniel was on with us, which I thought was a fantastic stream. For whatever reason, the monetization on it was limited. So now I looked at the reasoning, and I read through the rules, and I'm like, there was none of that on there. So I don't know. I requested a
manual review.
Yeah, a human review. But I thought
because it's a kid showing off his toys.
Or the fact that he kept wielding that sword around, because you can't have weapons.
But I've heard the pen is mightier than the sword. So do we get demonetized if I show the Sharpie?
Hey, keep that down. That's just good fun. So, but I thought that was pretty entertaining. So
other big news. Well, so we'll see what happens. As of right now, we have 50 entries for next week's Fresh Prince of Anywhere contest, which, by the way, I'm not sure if we announced it here, but Glenn and I are co-hosting that event.
We have how many entries?
50.
Holy.
So we have 50 entries through Eventbrite, but I've only received 7 or 8 emails. And technically in the rules, yesterday was the cutoff for the entries.
Right.
But I had only received 3 as of the cutoff. So I'm like, people must not have read the rules all the way through. Maybe something wasn't clear. I know there were some issues because originally there was supposed to be a link to the rules and it wasn't posted, whatever. So you and I are going to figure out a date to do the reviews of those, and that will be the official cutoff. I'm going to send out an email blast to everybody that's in the contest because we need time to be able to review these and pick them. So there are 50 entries in the Eventbrite thing. There may not actually be 50 entries that make it to the contest, but it is a 90-minute stream we will be doing next Saturday starting at 5:15. I haven't figured out exactly how that works. I got to talk to, I think, Shane to figure out how they're handling all their
next Sunday, 5:15 p.m.
Saturday, 5:15.
Saturday, 5:15.
Yes.
Okay.
Does that cause you issues?
Well, it always causes me issues, but no, it'll be fine.
Anxiety issues?
Well, definitely anxiety issues.
Yeah, that's we're the end of night 1.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. I was honored to be asked to be a brand ambassador for 3D Gloop because they're not able to do their stream. And they did make a video, but it won't be the whole time slot. And they wanted me to fill in and stuff. But unfortunately for their time slot, I'm not available. So, and then of course we won't have a stream on Sunday because of
that,
because of VERRF going on. So.
Yes. Yeah. So you'll, to get your weekly dose of Glenn and James, you'll have to tune into the Fresh Prince of Anywhere virtual East Coast Rep Festival thing stream.
Right.
About 3D printing.
Right. 5:15 p.m. on Saturday next week.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern Standard Time.
Be there or be a jerk.
Oh, I will be there and I'll still be a jerk. So
it's true. I'm now 3 weeks behind on my Pi 26 Ways design challenge. I have designs for all the weeks done, just not videos. So I can show off. Go ahead.
You have design, like you've done the actual 3D modeling of it, or you just know what it's going to be?
No, I've modeled them. I've got like 4 or 5 cases that are ready to be printed. There's just been stuff that's come up. The big one that was, so last week's was supposed to be a fairly large project. I can show off the design today because the person that the design was being made for is now aware of it. It was actually supposed to be a birthday gift for them, and it wasn't finished on time because some of the electronics I ordered. So I ordered the electronics and started designing around what I knew the electronics were going to be before the electronics arrived, and had to start printing stuff to try and get it done in time. And some of the stuff didn't fit properly. So he ended up seeing the printed parts and not the assembled device. But I will show off the design today. I've been playing with how I'm going to get around it, whether I'm going to reprint the parts, which is about 1 kilogram worth of material, or if I'm going to adapt some other stuff to fit into the existing mounting positions. So, but I'll show that next hour. That way people don't leave.
Right. Yeah. They don't just come for the big reveal and ditch out. Well, I'm not printing anything exciting. It's just a new electronics box for itself.
I'm printing.
Mama did ask me if I printed the fly swatter. I have not. And I probably won't. I probably won't have a chance to this week either. This week is going to be real crazy. I get the pleasure of helping a friend do like 1,100 square feet of laminate flooring. So
Been there, done that.
Yeah, it's
Is it the tongue and groove stuff?
yeah, it's snapped
Snap.
together. It's the vinyl. It's the luxury vinyl flooring. So
Oh, that's we have that on our main floor. No, we did that on our stairs. Our stairs were in rough shape. We didn't have the money to replace the actual the word I'm looking for, not treads.
Matt said, "Gee, I haven't even bought that yet." How did you know? Well, and then it was really funny too because he was going to go pick it up. He's got a Ford Escape, and I said, "How are you getting it?" And he, "Well, I'm going to go pick it up." And I said, "In your car?" I said, "You realize that
that's a lot of weight.
It's going to be a lot of weight." Yeah, it was like 2,000 pounds of flooring. So
vinyl stuff is significantly heavier than the wood-based.
It was amazingly heavy. Well, I mean, again, I drive a 450. The bed capacity on that thing is like 6,000 pounds. But I can put 2 full pallets of sod in the back of that truck and exceed my weight limit. But when they set that in there, the back of the truck, I watched it squat. So I know it was heavy. But yeah, so we went Friday night, like the family, like we're friends, like the whole family, you know, we're friends, and they're within my COVID bubble. So we go over there and we load up, and him and I are going to go get the flooring. Everybody else is staying at the house. I pull up Google Maps and it tells me that the store is closing soon. It was 6:15 and the store closed at 7, and we were like an hour away. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So then we had to redo it all again on Monday morning or on Saturday morning. So we ran down yesterday and picked it up. But then we're sitting out back waiting for him to bring it out and fork it into the truck. And like I don't know, we're just shooting the breeze, and I'm looking around and again, I work construction company that does mostly masonry work. So I'm kind of admiring these masonry columns on the back of this building. And all of a sudden, like I look and I'm like, wait a minute, this is my building. We built that building. Like I was the one that did the estimating on that building. So I'm like, yeah, I know this building, which is kind of weird for me because I don't normally get to go to the buildings that I do because they're all over the state of Florida. But
so you're saying is you're admiring your own work?
I was. Well, I didn't actually do the physical work. I'm just the guy that rolls the mouse around and draws lines and comes up with numbers. But yeah, it was. So that was kind of cool. But but yeah, so it's gonna be a week for sure. But we're gonna take it just in little spots. We know where we're gonna start, cut up the carpet in that space and start, and just take it a little bit at a time and jostle furniture at the same time. But yeah. And the guy that forklifted the stuff into the truck would not come home with us to forklift the stuff out of the truck.
That's rude.
That's what I thought.
There's no decency among these people anymore.
I mean, I would have tipped him if he would have done that.
Given a free Coke Zero.
I'd have given him a good pat on the back from a distance because of COVID.
There you go. 3D print a 6-foot long pole for patting people on the back. Ontario's more back towards lockdown now. They've asked people for Thanksgiving to keep it to your immediate family. And I think for all social stuff now, they're kind of like saying no more bubbles outside your family unless you're an individual that lives by yourself, because they don't want to isolate people where it's like, my bubble is just me. That's all that lives here. So we have a family friend that whose husband is in France for 4 months for work. So she sees nobody. So she is now in our bubble. And Kay and her were joking about how funny it is that since now the only people that use our guest rooms are Kay uses her guest room and she uses our guest room, they don't have to change the sheets every time because it's the same person coming to sleep in it every time.
Nice. Well, I don't know. Like I'm still leery of being out around people. I keep my distance, but that was true before COVID started.
Yeah, people are the worst.
So I thought that I would unbox this glorious piece of equipment right here. This is the Wham Bam Flex bed system that is supposed to go on the Creality CR10S Pro.
Oh, I should go get mine. I've got one too that's been waiting to be unboxed.
Yeah, I don't think that I'm gonna. I think I want to video that because that could just have a bunch of epic failures. Because of me, not because of Wham Bam Systems, but I thought it would be nice to see what was in the box. The only time being an ADHD geek has acted in my favor.
And tomorrow's Kayleen's birthday, so I'll be completely off the internet.
That's a secret.
Yeah, the world needs to know.
Tom said, expensive bed for a printer you never use. That's the one I never use. The 20. I think I've only printed on that thing one time ever. Oh, they gave me a nice piece of steel wool. That's my new Walter beard.
You know, it's kind of funny that we're at the point now where it's like, it doesn't really matter which 3D printer you buy nowadays. They all print relatively the same.
It's well, I mean,
controversial statement, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, the technology has definitely improved significantly in the 3 years I've been doing this. Three and a half years.
Now it's coming down to creature comforts and features that you want in your printer.
Right. Yeah. And
Now,
like what color the anodizing is.
Yep. Chris Lane says, unless a tool changes. That is, again, so that's a feature. But like I keep seeing arguing online where it's like, I bought an Ender 3 and I put the Pets Fang cooler on it. Now it prints almost as well as the Prusa printer, which is 4 times the cost. And like, okay, so, you know, like, and you look at the print side by side, and it would be a hard guess to say which one printed better. But so then that means for the Prusa, you're paying for the reliability, for the silent stuff, like the silent steppers, all the extra features, the auto bed leveling, all that type of stuff. But if your only concern is pure print quality, then it's getting harder and harder to go wrong with picking almost any printer nowadays, except for the ones that catch on fire. Like, I think, were there issues with the Creality Kickstarter printer? Is that what I've been seeing?
Yeah. Yeah, they were catching on fire. But just a little.
This printer's on fire.
Just small fires. Yeah, that's what I thought. I kind of figured, because I thought, well, maybe I'll go ahead and install it, and then I'll uninstall it and shoot a video on how to install it. But the backing of this is 3M adhesive. There won't be any uninstalling.
Well, there can be uninstalling. There will never be reinstalling again.
Right. Oh, this is I don't know. There's just something like beautiful about this. I'm assuming that I can't print right on this, that I have to put some kind of
It should have come with a sheet of their PEX.
Oh, you mean this right here?
Yep.
It even says Wham Bam PEX on it. Well, they could have installed that for me. Gosh, don't they know that I like to be spoon-fed? I guess that gives you the option if you wanted to put something else on there instead.
Well, I think they offer other stuff other than PEX, but I could be wrong. So it's probably so they don't have to they just pair, oh, this is what they want with this sheet, and away you go.
Yeah, I don't remember when I ordered it. Like, I don't remember if it gave me options. Maybe it did, and that's what I chose. I don't know. I bought it some time ago, and then I just haven't, because I'm a procrastinator and I don't get around to anything. Can I go off on a car tangent already?
Can you drive off on a car tangent?
It's a car tangent that's costing me a lot of money. My daily driver, my F450, developed last weekend when I was out driving around. It developed a rattle. Anybody that's ever hauled an aluminum extension ladder, the sound that it makes when the two pieces clink together, that's what my truck sounded like. And it was worrying me, and I got out and I looked at stuff and I poked around at stuff and I couldn't find anything. And then I just continued driving, And like jokingly, I told the wife, well, whatever falls off, that's what I have to fix.
Did something fall off?
No,
Oh.
but the noise stopped. So I thought either something did fall off or, like it had readjusted itself or whatever. So, and then it started up again. I don't know. So I didn't go anywhere through the week. So it didn't matter. Well, then out driving around again this weekend, it was doing it. So I got underneath there Saturday morning before I took off, and I found an exhaust bracket that was loose. So I fixed that, and I thought, okay, that was the problem. But it was, so last night I was out there working on it, and I stood on the tailgate, and I jumped up and down, and I watched the bed in the cab flex, but the cab seemed to flex a lot. So I got underneath there, and I started looking at body mounts. There's 8 body mounts that hold that cab on. 6 of them are completely disintegrated.
You still got 2 though?
Well, yeah, there's still 2 holding it on. I mean, it's fine. But it kind of brings me back to the whatever it is. If it falls off, I'll know what it is.
That would have been a very clear indicator.
I would definitely know what it was.
It might not be you fixing it if it happened.
But come to find out, it's a pretty common occurrence with these trucks, which kind of upsets me. But yeah, it set me back $600 for the parts to fix it. So they're on the way. And then the other thing that I found underneath there, well, the rear sway bar, the end links were loose because the truck rides really rough because it's because towing capacity. So it's
a
just
lot of truck.
Stiff. Matt, I don't know if I had this. I mean, we haven't seen each other in person in forever, but maybe. I mean, it's the last new truck I bought. It's a big black dually. It's the first Ford I ever owned, but then I found so the end links were loose on the sway bar. I tightened those, which did help with some of the clunking. And then I had Zach come out and jump up and down on the tailgate while I was underneath there, and the rubber on the shocks on the end of the shock mounts is all disintegrated. So they were slamming around. So yeah, new shocks, new body mounts. So
it's gonna be like a brand new truck.
2007-ish. Yep, that would definitely be the one then, because that's when I bought it, was in 07. So, but like a new truck, the thing's only got 73,000 miles on it, and it's an 08. But just from sitting, I mean, sitting is just as bad as driving them around, mainly in the Florida heat. So, and I guess the body mounts are made out of urethane foam. That seems like a good idea, to put that big old heavy body on that chassis with foam.
I mean, it's worked okay for 12 years, I guess.
But it didn't, or did it? I mean, like most of the internet threads I was reading, the people were replacing them in 2011, 2012.
Oh, geez.
So, but again, because I don't drive it that much,
you're just running into these problems later on in life.
Yeah, way later, which is good because somebody else already did all the research then. So, all right. So it comes with 1 Wham Bam flex plate, 1 Wham Bam PEX build surface, 1 magnetic base, and 4 Wham Bam shims, which I think is aluminum material with adhesive, and I can't read it because it's covered up.
I think the shims are actually just literally aluminum tape, like just strips of aluminum tape they use for like duct work and stuff.
Oh, actual duct tape?
Duct tape. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, that. Well, those really shimmy in the light. Oh. Yeah, they are strips of aluminum material with adhesive backing. So, installation, see other side of this sheet.
I thought my statement of it doesn't really matter which printer you buy anymore was going to be more controversial and start up more conversation, but apparently our audience agrees with us.
Well, I read going on Twitter about the thread that's going on Facebook, where somebody was like slamming on Joel about being a shill.
I saw stuff on in response to some of his videos Somebody's going off on him about a resin printer, I think.
Well, I don't know. There was some printer that the guy bought and he didn't have good luck with it, but yet Joel's worked fine. And like sometimes you ever think that maybe it's just you
or bad luck. I mean, there are lemons in
right?
it.
Yeah, I mean, I got an ANET E12 one time that was awful.
No, it was you. I heard the next guy had much more success with it.
Oh, Chris Riley's in the house and he disagrees. There you go. So now you got somebody you can debate with.
Hey, we should drag Chris on here.
Chris is welcome to come on anytime he wants.
Hey, Chris, you want to join us? You've already been streaming today, so we know you're set up for it.
He is a master debater.
Family friendly show.
I was just talking about his ability to debate you on the topics.
Me too. I was just reminding everybody this is a family friendly show. It's important to mention that at least once. For both of us, we're both just printing on our Mark IIIs right now.
I'm absolutely just dumbfounded by how well that thing prints PETG. So
just for you though, not for me.
Well, that's true.
Me asking it to print PETG is like asking the sun not to raise the sun not to rise in the morning. There we go. I need to pause for a second.
Jeff said, "I'm with you, Glenn. I love my A8."
Oh, Chris says send it. Send him the link, or I can send him the link. I've got Twitter open still.
Okay.
I'm on it. It's on like Don King Kong.
It, man. If you can get me a functional $200 Prusa, a $200 knockoff Prusa, but yeah, you won't like it. I mean, that $200 price range, you just go into the why am I lacking?
Words are hard.
God, I'm back on that statin medication and it's making my brain foggy again. So I got to get off of it. So I won't even initiate a conversation with the boss for a $700 printer. Yeah, but it depends on, like, do you just want to push the button and be done? Or do you want to have to mess with it all the time?
And like I fully tip my hat to the fact that the Ender 3 is opened, and so the Ender 3 opened this hobby to a lot of people that wouldn't have gotten into it because it is a fairly solid, reliable printer that's easy to set up and doesn't cost a ton of money. Much like the CR10 was when it was opening the world of large prints to people at a cost that was like half the price of another printer that size. But it doesn't have a lot of the creature comforts. You don't need them to survive though. Like, I like having the Prusa because it's one printer where most of the time I can just push the button. I don't even have to watch the first layer go down. I can walk away and I'm confident it's going to do what it was supposed to do.
Right.
But in terms of print quality, I get equal or better print quality out of my CR10s when they're running properly.
Oh yeah, no, like, yeah. Well, and even I mean, and of course Jeff will be in agreement. My AM8, like, it prints fantastically. But I do have to worry about the bed level and, that everything is good and that, whatever. There's a little bit more finesse to it.
Yeah.
Where as long as the house is not on fire or blowing away in a tornado, the Prusa is going to work. So,
Chris, I sent you a link on the Twitters. We'll see if he joins us.
I feel like you should want to learn how to make / fix a FDM 3D printer if you want it as a tool. No, I totally agree with that, Paul. That is kind of, well, and I feel the same way in RC. Like, the RC cars now are almost all pre-built when you buy them, as where back in my early days, you had to put every screw into that thing to make it, and then you knew how to fix it when something went wrong. Same with the printer. If you build it from scratch and you put every nut and bolt and screw in that thing, even the ones that you have to go to the hardware store and buy because they didn't include enough of them. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chris Riley from Chris's Basement.
What's up, fellas?
All right,
hey, buddy. You're a little quiet, just to me, maybe.
Here, I can
yeah, crank your audio, man.
How about now?
Hey, man, is that Freedom Rock?
Better?
Yeah, Chris has got the killer gains now. Get it?
Killer gains.
Yeah.
I wish I had Stream Deck for you because I would totally drumroll that.
That is something that they have to build into StreamYard. They need to do some kind of a soundboard.
Absolutely. Where am I here? Clicking on.
You're in your
things,
basement.
Stuff.
You're still a little quiet. Can you give us a little more?
I got a little more juice just for you. How about that?
Take another trip right back to Gainesville.
Hopefully, I've got the right input and everything. I haven't used StreamYards in forever.
It sounds. I mean, we can understand you now. You don't sound so much like a mumbly Joe.
Let's see. What's going on here? Microphone, digital audio. That looks right. I guess ish.
Well, it sounds all right, and we can see you, so I guess that's really all that's important.
Okay. As long as you can hear me. I mean, I got a little further to go, but I don't want to blow you out either. So.
Well, as long as you can overtalk James, that's all that's really important.
Okay, excellent.
I'm just gonna leave. And this is how we find out Chris is my replacement. Carefully orchestrated.
You were my replacement. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, you're gonna crisscross.
I'm just waiting to see who my replacement is so I can get out of here.
Surprise, it's Walter.
Hello, everyone in chat. I'm sure most of you were on the previous stream to this, but hello.
I wasn't. I was too busy getting ready for this stream, which involved me cleaning upstairs.
Yeah, I don't remember what you were saying, but I jumped right in and you said I thought this would cause controversy, and I'm like, I disagree, and I'm not sure what you was actually disagreeing about.
So I had been saying that basically that there seems to be this bar now where it almost doesn't really matter which 3D printer you buy anymore for print quality and stuff like that. Like there's always going to be those cheap, like the printers make no sense, but like, so I'd be like, should I buy like an Under 3 or a Prusa or whatever? And like, there are arguments for either, but in terms of the actual print quality, if you set it up properly, it's very hard to differentiate between them.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth to that statement. I mean, we're at a point right now, right, that a lot of these companies have it figured out. They've seen the way, and and they've ironed a lot of the bugs out of this thing. But you got to remember too that, I mean, of course the hardware has kind of leveled out, and we stopped racing to the bottom so much, and we're kind of in a niche right now with, you know, wherever it came from, China or whoever made it.
Which, so, you know, that's kind of a funny point, Chris, because I think that you and Walter and I had the discussion either at the end of 18 or early 19 about like what the future, what we wanted to see, and I think we all unanimously agreed that we wanted to see the end of this race for the bottom.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and it took 2020 being such a solid year to get there.
Well, it'd be nice if we could get back to innovation, because I haven't. So actually, I did see something yesterday on Reddit that was very interesting to me. It was a 3D printer that a student had designed, and instead of having a bed, it had a cylinder, and it printed onto the cylinder. So the cylinder was lined with like masking tape or whatever, but he was printing vases and stuff like that, and he was able to get much greater detail because it would print and spiral, and the print head would move away from the cylinder. And like I even looking at his prototype, I was like, that's really cool, but I can't think off the top of my head of a practical use for it. Maybe 3D printing springs, because you could just print the spring around the cylinder and have a really well-formed spring. But I like, somebody might see that concept and say, this perfectly fits a niche that I've got for printing something specific.
Right.
So, and he wrote the slicer for it by himself, because obviously nothing's designed to slice around a cylindrical object. So he wrote it in, I think, Python. So it was pretty interesting.
Well, and that would be where I would go to next with this whole conversation. In the last couple of years, so the hardware is kind of leveled out to get to a playing field, but the slicers have become so much more feature rich.
Yeah.
I mean, most of all of these companies that build an affordable machine are backed by Cura. You know, they're just using the Ultimaker base that they constantly add things to make their print quality awesome. And Prusa Slicer is the same way. You know, they've continued to develop that thing where all the little nuances of an FDM machine have been kind of ironed out in software, which it continues that way. So after they kind of got the playing field on the hardware, it's all up to, can you make it do what it's supposed to do? And then you're right, though. And then we're just kind of piling on features.
I also wanted to point out how neat it is when you've got, so Prusa slicers being developed obviously side by side with the Prusa line of printers. And the interesting thing for me was to go off of Kira, where I slice something and it gives me an estimate, and I go, okay, my time estimate for that is going to be within, say, 10 to 15%. So if it says it's going to be 10 hours, it could be, well, sorry, it's not going to be plus or minus. It's always plus. So it gives me a window of when it's going to finish. But like, if it tells me it's going to take 10 hours, it's going to take at least 11 or 12 hours. It's never right. But then working with a Mark 3S and with Prusa Slicer, the estimate's always within like minutes. So if it tells me, oh, this is going to take 3 hours and 2 minutes to print, and I stick it into the printer, usually it's done in 3 hours and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And
it's little things like that they've done that have kind of changed things for everyone, because they have a special G code, I believe it's M73, that they interject each layer to give you an estimate on stealth mode and full power mode.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that just take the MMU, for instance, whether it worked or not. But all of the features that they added to Prusa Slicer to be able to do multicolor, well, now every multicolor setup that I have, I'm so used to having all the tools in Prusa Slicer to use those that if I try to go to Cura, it's like light years away from supporting.
I couldn't tell you the last time I opened Cura.
Yeah, well, I only do if I'm testing it, because some of these printer manufacturers, like take Lotmax, they advertise it as an ecosystem. They have a printer and they have a special version of Cura. If you use them together, it works great, and it does. But then you have to go use different software when I have 40 machines in Prusa Slicer that I use on a daily basis. But I just did a dual color thing for Lotmax, and it's like, there are no features here. I mean, I can't tweak this or that when you're so used to something like Prusa Slicer.
I still run them side by side. Most of my CR10 slicing is done on Cura, but mostly because I have profiles that I've spent quite a bit of time tuning, and I just haven't had the time to try and replicate that behavior in Prusa. And I've talked to Chris several times. He sent me stuff that he's worked with, and then usually I'll hit something that just doesn't print the way I'm expecting it to or whatever. But I tried slicing in Cura to use with the Prusa, and what came out of it was nowhere near close to just using even the default profile provided by Prusa, by the printer from Prusa Slicer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Tom Lama said, idea maker, the future in slicers. I downloaded that and installed it, but I don't even know if I ever opened it.
Yeah.
John Quant says the 101 Hero is a waste of money. If you want a real waste of money, the Kodama Obsidian was a waste of money.
Literally.
Yes. One of the backers of the Kodama Obsidian replied in one of the comments and said that they got a response from Kickstarter notifying them that the company that was running the Kickstarter has actually shut down business at this point. Whether or not he's faking that or not, because that people can write whatever they want on the internet. It's a little known fact, but Kodama hasn't updated the Obsidian Kickstarter since May, I think, at this point.
So it's like still floating around out there? Like they haven't just like...
So in May, they released a statement saying that they were ready to move on to beta testers. They had a finalized design, and they picked 10 people to be the beta testers. And they contacted, or they're going to contact them. And in the comments, some people came out and said, yeah, I've been picked as one of the beta testers. And then as of now, they're like, yeah, they never contacted us after picking us as the beta testers. We haven't received anything.
Well, they all got lost in the mail.
Yeah. it's COVID. So,
wow. What I'm so glad.
I do truly wish that I could go back in time and stop myself from putting the money into it. I don't even need the printer now. They could be like, oh, we're shipping it tomorrow. I'll be like, all right, it's going to sit in a box for a year.
What, out of curiosity, what was the buy-in on that?
So they had early bird at $49 plus I think $50 shipping or something like that. So it was for the first, I forget how many units. Then after that, so that was super early bird. Then early bird was $99 for the base unit plus shipping. I ended up buying in at like $200 plus shipping. So I didn't get the fully loaded one, but I got the one with the heated bed and trying to think of what else was on
You
there.
didn't actually get anything.
That's right. Thanks, Glenn. I was worried about running out of salt, but the amount of salt you just rubbed in the wound means I should be good for a while.
and then you gotta kind of look at it too from the perspective of, all right, so the early buy-in $49.09. Well, don't charge me the shipping until the thing actually ships. Like the part of Kickstarter isn't take my shipping money now.
Right, but they took everything. Some people have successfully, I think, gotten the shipping money back. Other people have fought it with their credit cards and said they paid for add-ons, and the add-ons had a specific delivery date on them, like filament and stuff, and it never showed up, so they were able to do chargebacks. And then there's people that are attached to the owner of Kodama's personal Instagram account or whatever. So they keep linking whenever he does stuff. So like he posted a picture, he'd bought a new car and stuff, and he was driving around, I forget where. I was like, oh, this is what Mike's doing with your money.
Oh, wow.
It's I don't think anything will ever come of it at this point. I wish that they would just say the project failed, here's the reasons, and then we could move on to not talking about the Kodama Obsidian ever again. I could do a video about how upset I am and hope the video gets enough views to make the money back off the printer, and that's it. I'll start a Kickstarter. I'll start a GoFundMe to replenish the Kickstarter money.
What a mess. What a mess. But
yep.
Circling back around, as far as innovation goes with the 3D printers, it's almost to the point that somebody came up with a really great idea and it worked, and then everybody just copied that, and that's kind of where we've been stuck now.
We know who that person is. They keep posting videos about it.
What?
The person that came up with all the good ideas. They keep posting videos about it.
The guy that keeps coming up with all the good ideas, and everybody keeps stealing them.
Yep.
But no, I truly think that is it is an issue, and the companies are looking at it from like, well, that's working for them. Let's do that same thing. I mean, you look at how many printers are out there that look exactly like somebody.
The Ender 3.
Yeah, well,
there's 25 different copies of the Ender 3 that you can go buy out there that visually they look almost the same.
But even so, the Ender 3 looks like the CR10, only smaller. Like it's always that format. And I understand that, it works, but then there isn't any innovation. The 3D printing companies are not about innovation anymore. They're just about numbers. The machine works, make a machine, sell as many as we can, and be done with it.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
and I think that's part of the problem too, is that because so many companies are hopping from redesign to redesign to redesign, it's almost impossible to get support for some of these really cheap printers because they release it. They don't really, they figure the community will figure out how to support it, and they move on to whatever they're doing next.
Yeah. Well, and that's usually the way it goes. I mean, and anytime that you're dealing with, like an overseas company, like communication is always hard anyway, and you're not going to get the support. So buying into that, you have to know ahead of time that you're going to have to do your own support. So, and when I say overseas, I mean Asia. Obviously, if you call Prussia, you're going to get support. So, hello, Roy Holly wants to know how the FK1's doing. It's doing fantastic. It's living right there. I can't let the cat out of the bag, but something big is happening soon, and it's not what you think.
It's a Benchy.
No, I said it's not what you think.
Chris, are you ever going to get back to the hang printer?
I don't know. Torbjorn was working on that extensively, and I don't know what happened in his life or whatever, but being backed wasn't cutting it. So he did have to take a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so it really slowed down. There is a version 4 floating around where you actually take the spools and flip them vertical, which would be a big help. It would really consolidate things. So you would have just like 4 in a drum, like like a bridge lift or so, like a traditional winch type thing. But I don't know that the project's ever been evolved. I would like to try the newer version, but it's such a time waster. I mean, you can spend days, getting the tape measure out and lining this thing up and trying to get it to work. So
I think the issue too is that I'm just going to tilt the camera down a little bit. I think the issue too is that it's a really neat concept. It's a really cool project. I think you probably had a lot of fun actually building it and getting it working. But the reality is, because of the way it's designed, you'll never be able to use it to print, say, functional parts and stuff like that. It's always going to be more of a parlor trick versus producing something that's perfect and huge and whatnot. Would you agree with that?
Well, to some extent, yes. I mean, I think it could be more functional than it is today. I think it could be worked out to be better, but you couldn't print at that scale for that cost in any other way.
No, absolutely not.
You can build one for $200.
Yeah, and you're literally limited by the space that you have available for it.
Right, but because of that, because of the design and where you have to place it and the room you have to run it in, and you have to make sure your dog doesn't run through, which has happened to me.
Yeah,
and I mean.
Well, because it is literally hanging. It's free hanging, which means it can be bumped and like it'll sway back and forth and should theoretically end up back in the right position, but it doesn't stop printing during that movement period either.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no function feature to it. You would have to go to like closed loop steppers or something a lot more expensive and harder to set up to make it more functional.
Yeah.
But it's a great concept. I think it's a solution looking for a problem.
I think actually, I've been thinking. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish before I cut back.
Well, I think you probably, if you had a specific niche that you needed it to fill, I think it would do it well. But I really don't know of one.
So I think that because like you tried to print a stool, which was partially successful, right?
Right.
I think if you were to pair it with here's where I see it. If you paired it with something like the Volcano, and you were printing 1.2 millimeter thick, because of that thickness also basically increases your tolerance for errors, right? Because your contactive surface is that much better. If you're trying to print something big and fast that way, where essentially since you can't move it all that fast, you gain speed by printing thicker. I think it could do that. Like if you treat it like the Parts Daddy, where they print those giant stools over the course of a day or whatever, but the extrusion's like ridiculously thick, it would do fine with that. Like you could probably set up the hang printer to print even using something like have you seen this new system that's coming out that uses shredded prints instead of filament, where it's got like a hopper in the top of it?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's almost like it's almost like an extruder.
Yeah, rather than trying to process broken up prints into filament and then pump them back through, it actually just uses that, and it prints like a very thick diameter print, but the hopper's got a thing and it basically crushes it and extrudes it out, and it's not like perfectly even or whatever. But if you combine something like that, you could probably use something like the hang printer to print a boat, where as long as you've got thick extrusion so that the contact isn't all that important.
But will the hang printer move at a speed that could handle that large of an extrusion?
Well, the extruder on it, depending on which extruder you pair with it, the extruder is going to determine how fast the filament's coming out of it. So it should be okay. The problem will be, I guess, movements where it's not extruding, because it's going to leak probably a lot.
Yeah. Well, like it would be really handy if you wanted to print one mold that you use to make a bunch of other things. Like say, I don't know, like you were making giant ceramic pots or something. You printed a mold and then you built your ceramic around it, and you could get it out and use it again.
Yeah.
Or something like that, where you really, I mean, how long would it take you to carve something like that? Or and it wouldn't be accurate or whatever, but something where you just needed one large thing, it would save you a lot of time if you used it to reproduce other things. But, like I said, again, it's a solution looking for a problem, kind of. But that's
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you find the problem to get you back into it. That's what I'm doing here.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
You need to 3D print a boat using the hang printer. That's what I'm saying.
I can't think of a time where I was sitting around going, man, I really could use a hang printer for this.
Right.
Well, can you call yourself a maker? The build volume on a hang printer makes the FK1 look like a toy. The print quality on the hang printer makes the hang printer look like a toy.
Well, I mean, technically your print area gets bigger the higher you hang it, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I got 15-foot tall ceilings in my garage.
There you go.
Probably print some pretty large stuff off of that. Circular, but
It is just a giant Delta printer, right? Basically.
Yeah, it's just it suffers the same problem as Delta. So you have to have height and then stretch because it has an envelope, like shaped like a vase. It gets smaller at the top, so you have to have a lot of reach to get large volume. But it suffers from the same thing every other 3D printer does. And what happens when it stops in the middle? You cry a lot.
How can you build a resume system for that? I guess you really can't.
That'd be tough.
You'd have to count the layers and then manually position the print and say, okay, this is hopefully close enough. Click the start button and
click the print button, and then you're like tapping it a little bit this way and a little bit this way until you get it back where it was.
That's kind of the gist. You kind of try to make it skip a step into the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I need that kind of headache.
I saved a print the other day using a method that I probably wouldn't have been smart enough to do when I first started off. In fact, I know I wouldn't have because I had given up on prints and the similar thing. So I had to do a color swap halfway through the print. And I had trouble getting the filament back out of the extruder. And by the time I actually got the filament out, the motors had basically turned off. So I was able to manually move the X and the Y, and I accidentally bumped the X. So I'm like, well, now it's not in the right position. So then I homed the X and the Y and resumed the print. And guess what? When it knows that it's in the 0 and 0 and it's passing the commands, it immediately moved back into the proper position because the G code said this is where I'm supposed to be. And according to the printer, I'm currently at 0, 0. So I know for a fact that I've given up on prints in the past because that happened where I was like trying to change the thing and I ended up bumping something. And I'm like, oh, that's done. So
yeah, my community piece that I did Friday night 3D printing hangout mural at VERRF 2 years ago. I just happened to be standing. I printed it on the AM8, and I happened to be standing there staring at it at that moment because I wanted to see what layer it was on, and the power dipped in the house. And it was before I had battery backup on there. And I'm like, oh. But I knew because I was staring, I knew what layer it was on. So I went back in and I edited the G code to start on that line and let it. In fact, it was an article on printedsolid.com that taught me how to do it. And I went in and I set it for that. And it's not like, if you look at it, you can see it's not perfect, but it still recovered the print. And I'm like, yeah.
Guys, I accidentally started
I could have reprinted it, but there's no way. That one had to be the one that went into the mural. I mean,
I think I accidentally started a conversation about design prototype test in chat.
Yeah, yeah. I try not to say his name out loud because now he's going to claim copyright on this video and say that this stream was his idea.
I'm going to give credit where credit is due. The technical videos he does and some of the stuff that he's played with and stuff, he does do a lot of interesting, potentially innovative stuff. He's come up with some pretty cool stuff on his channel. I do not like watching the conspiracy videos, but I do enjoy watching his actual technical videos. Yeah.
And I'm just going to make one statement. I've never watched him. I don't watch him. But anybody that does, is it really worth it?
There's so many other options out there.
I don't know anyone with a YouTube channel that would really appreciate you watching it that does technical things. But if I did, I would let you know.
I don't know. Like, there's always somebody, like, I mean, you'll come across somebody's stream and comments and it'll be like, love your videos, I'm a subscriber. And there's just something about that video that rubs you wrong. And so then you just don't subscribe to that, and because there's billions of people that won't subscribe to me because I'm annoying, but that's okay. But yeah, there's just something about him that I just can't get past. So
is it the design part, the prototype part, or the test part?
Yeah. Yeah, but whatever.
Oh yeah, he did a video basically saying that resin isn't dangerous if you get it on your skin, because somebody had posted a video where they ended up with chemical burns after getting resin on their skin, and everybody was real upset about that one because just because you don't have a reaction the first time you get resin on your skin doesn't mean it can't happen.
Matt said, I subbed and I know you, so Yeah, but Matt, you're insane, man. I know you too.
Poor Chris is just thinking, why did I say I'd join in today?
Yeah, but see, he's not obligated to be here. So at some point, he'll get tired of us and just be like, "Oh, technical difficulty." I'm
Going out of the basement.
There is my.
Well, good. I don't know what topics you guys had planned for this stream, and I don't want to jump
You
down.
think we plan?
Yeah,
Plan?
yeah. But I don't want to jump down too many rabbit holes because we could talk for hours about certain like technical difficulties on 3D printers. But I did have some questions about the FK1
Sure.
because I have kind of the same design on a printer. I'm using a Duet board, a Duex, 4 lead screws. It's just a lot smaller. It's only 334.
Okay.
But so on your X carriage, you're going from left to right. So your Y is the short, right? It goes back and forth.
Right.
Right. So, and you have a BMG and a Mosquito?
No, currently a BMG and a V6.
Okay. So does your carriage, so the X carriage, the gantry, is it a free floating square carriage on those Zs?
Somewhat, yeah. Like
Okay.
if you took all the lead screws off and picked it up in one far corner, the whole thing will move up and down.
Okay.
But it'll sag in this corner.
Gotcha.
But because it's 4 wheels per carriage, it's a little bit rigid.
Okay, but it is V wheels on extrusion?
It is V wheel on extrusion, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That for my use case, that's good. So does your extruder, the bar that the extruder runs on, is it on the top of that gantry or the bottom?
The middle.
It's in the middle.
That bar runs. Well, let's just do this, shall we? I don't have much light over there, but so it's and like I can't see them, but you can see it's just a little bit higher than
Okay.
because of the belt. Because the belt runs down that first rib. That's a 2040. And the belt runs down this first rib. Let's see if I can get a little bit more light. I know this is some sucky videography right here, but
no worries.
So the belt runs in here and it comes around this pulley. So it runs just high enough above this one for that belt to be in there.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
And you know, I will share any of those files with you that you want.
Sure.
Not me, though, just you.
No, that's not true either. I'm just not publicly releasing them yet.
So, so you've got BMG, but it's direct drive into a V6. Do you have like a pancake stepper or something on there? Is it a smaller motor?
Yeah, it's a 25 ounce.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
That's a
here's
tiny
my
stepper.
BMG. Then of course the E3D sticking out of the bottom of that, and then it's a 25 ounce pancake stepper.
Okay.
And then it's a regular, and I forget what the rating is on the regular NEMA 17.
Yeah.
What are they, like 40 ounce or something? And then these are the little bit bigger. These are the 48 millimeter.
Gotcha.
These are like 80 or 90 ounce motors that run the Z. And now that there's 4 of them, they don't really need to be that big. But how's that for a shot? Hey, everybody. The Z's no longer really need to be. The only reason they were that big when there was 2 lead screw was because it was really easy to bump them out of alignment. So, But now with 4 of them, and of course, if you bump it out of alignment, it doesn't matter. One click and that thing will reset itself.
Right. So now in that configuration, you've got direct drive. You're directly feeding filament into a hot end off of those gears. You would suffer the same thing I would technically, but so I guess the last question is: do you use smooth pulleys or geared pulleys for all the belts?
Oh no, they're all toothed.
Okay.
Even the idlers have teeth on them.
Okay, so that would make a difference as well, because I'm running over smooth idlers, and you could, with a printer that's running dialed in and where the layer lines are really consistent, you can actually see the teeth marks sometimes on a belt. So that does make a difference, which that's one of the things I'm going to try to change up. But do you have any inconsistencies on your prints that look like either like teeth or like candy striping, driver noise, or anything like that? I mean, it'd be real subtle. You'd have to really look.
Well, and I don't know. I might have to play with the focus on this to make it to where you can see. But I mean, you can see all the artifacting in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it definitely does not print perfectly. When I first got that thing fired up, I had an issue where the print almost was like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't perfectly consistent, but you could definitely see this. It's not technically Z wobble because it was in the Y direction, but
right.
It turned out that the pulley weren't centered. In fact, I ended up buying like 20 of them to get 2 that weren't drilled off center.
Right.
So it was technically making the belt a little tighter and then a little looser and it was concentric. So so that was definitely an issue, and finding good quality parts, it just wasn't working for me. So
well, that's the next problem, is because I can get pretty nuts because I'm using 6mm bolts for the idlers to run on. But it's going to be really hard to find a tooth gear that's decent quality to with a 6mm center that I can run 16 tooth or whatever.
Yeah, I think mine they're either M4s or M5s or M5s that run through the idlers, and they are bearinged idlers. So, but again, they don't necessarily drill the hole in the center. So what I ended up doing was I made a little jig. I don't even know if I still have it, but I made a jig with a dial indicator that I could drop that pulley on and zero the dial indicator and then run that thing around and see how bad it was. I mean, that's how stupidly precise I was trying to get it.
Yeah.
Just because I wanted to eliminate anything that I knew was a problem.
Yeah.
Xander's playing VR over there and just hit the wall. It's going to break his brand new VR set. But yeah, so it was just, and again, I ordered 20 of the pulleys, 20 of the idlers just to get, I don't even know, 3, I think total, 4 total on there that were straight and properly drilled.
Are you running 0.9 degree steppers for A and B for X and Y?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 0.9 on all of them. Walter.
Right. Then I think with all of that information, I think it's got to be belt teeth that are showing. And Tom Lama said don't run smooth idlers on a Core XY because it'll show, and I agree with that. But I'm only seeing it transfer because of the configuration I'm running, and because I run that on other machines, the same kind of thing, but it's never with a direct drive extruder. And I think what's happening now is the direct drive is stationary enough and solid enough, and there's no lag in the filament path, that any little thing, you see it in the print. It's kind of unusual. It's been a real challenge to troubleshoot. And I was kind of disappointed because it's a duet board, it's the high end, it's a 2660 driver. I really thought, well, that should really fix a lot of issues, but it actually created more issues than it fixed. So I don't know.
You need a printer that's more sloppy to hide all of the flaws.
Yeah, well, exactly. If it wouldn't have been so constrained, the slop I would have never known. But since it is, yeah, I get it all, and I can show you what I'm talking about. And it's really, really nitpicky. I mean, it's we're getting down to like, this would be fine for most printers, but it's still annoying. It should print perfect, you know.
Fine for most printers, but still annoying. That's going to be the new caption for my YouTube
Well,
channel.
kinda. That's kind of how it is. But you can see how consistent it is. It's just that it's got to be belt teeth. That's all there is to it. But
Walter, check your Walter, check your Twitter DM.
That almost looks like salmon skin.
yeah, and it's not actually. It's
No, I know it's not. Because obviously you would have looked at
Well,
those steppers don't
confusing.
actually exhibit
It's like
salmon skin, right?
resonation. I mean,
it's really confusing. But like on the smaller ones, same printer, same filament, same everything, you really don't notice that much. But in the wide areas where you're going through layer by layer, you can definitely see that dither, and you can hide it by acceleration and jerk values, trying to get it a little more consistent, slowing down a little bit. It will get a little better, but that's not what I want to hear. I don't want to print it 15.
I've grabbed my super spectacles so I can, because I don't think that I'm getting any of that. Oh, look, Uncle Walt has joined us. Hey, Uncle Walt.
What's up? Got the whole gang together.
Yeah.
Am I the
What?
guest host now? Is this how you guys
Right,
tell me
but-
you're going back to the way it was?
Welcome to Fun in the Country Basement.
The only reason I say that I needed to join this, I don't know if you can see off to the side over here, Chris. Let me wheel it a little closer. Can you see what I have over here?
Yep.
That's the Hypercube Evo that I got from my son-in-law last year. That was just sitting in the container, and I started putting it together today. I did a little live stream today.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, and you were talking about the Hypercube, and that's why I was like, I need to be in on this because I'm fixing to get this one running, and I was thinking about moving my Duet from the printed Hypercube to this one.
Yeah.
But I think this one has all all the pulleys have teeth on them, I think.
Yeah. Again, because you can kind of see the same thing. Vertical artifacting is an issue. You can see the same thing on Prussias and stuff, but they're not as constrained as a lot of these tubes are. So I think it's just you don't notice it. They're compensating for a certain amount of slop, and it turns out. If you allow for that, it turns out into be a pretty good print. But then when you're really trying to get it dialed in, you're like, oh, well, this little minute thing is causing me a problem.
So this is an instance of solving one problem, highlighting another.
Right.
And I also have a question about running, because this has a ramp set up with it. How good is ramps actually at Hypercube Evo style setups? Is it decent enough, or do you need the 32-bit?
No, so Core XY, it's the same movements. It really doesn't take up any processing power. It's just if you're set up to like at a faster speed, if you can actually achieve faster speed, it will clock out. Like you can't run at super fast speeds with it, but it shouldn't hurt it any. It doesn't have to do like the ABC of a Delta. It's just running the motors different directions.
And the main reason I'm asking is because I have the 32-bit board that come off the TiVo.
Yeah.
And but it was, what was that, SmoothieWare? But I'm wondering, can you just put Marlin 2 on there and run that smoothie board?
Yeah, some you can now. So because Marlin supports a lot of those processors that were on Smoothie. So depending on the processor it has, you might just be able to use Marlin.
Well, see, that would be cool, because then I got the board's decent. I think it was SmoothieWare was all the issue.
Yeah, probably.
The drivers aren't quiet on the one that I have, but
Yeah, you might still be able to use it.
Yeah. Was that Chris's Benchy there with the?
No. It's mine. Can you up your volume a little bit, Walter? Everybody says that you're a little too quiet.
Oh, on my mic?
Which has probably never been said
about Walter in the past.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
It's a little better.
All right. Well, I can get a little closer.
That's really better. All right. So, Chris, can you see that?
I can.
Yeah. That looks like scarring at the start of each layer.
Well, yeah, those are zits. because I haven't dialed in retraction and stuff yet. But what I'm talking about is the vertical lines through it like this.
Oh yeah.
Which I never realized until I just went looking now with my super spectacles. So, and then there's also, see, like there's some ringing up here too.
Right.
Do you have a set of calipers? Could you measure the distance between the vertical striations to see if they correspond to the gapping on the teeth?
Look at you getting all scientific there.
That's a belt tooth, man. I can tell you right now, that's a belt tooth.
Oh yeah, guaranteed they're going to be the 2 millimeters across, right?
Yeah.
Or wait, what's the pitch on a no 2 millimeters? So
yeah, 2
GT2.
millimeters. They're GT2s.
Yeah. Glenn's going to check anyways, though. We're going to prove it. People are getting their money's worth out of this week's stream.
Yeah,
they're really hard to see.
Yeah, I mean it's like I say, you just looking at it, oh yeah, that's pretty good looking print. But then you kind of take it to one side, and then it's like, what is that?
Matt Cox says, "Oh, don't say calipers. He'll have a break story about his truck."
Yeah. Speaking of calipers,
oh no. Did you guys see the finalized Super Nintendo case that I did? It's got the removable cartridge in it.
Nice.
I thought that was going to be super popular, and it ended up being one of my less popular pie case videos so far. But
all right, so again, my eyesight sucks. We all know that. That's not a secret. But just by eyeballing it, I'm at 8 millimeter. So I would say that's close enough to be the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if we use belts with no teeth?
Hey, you laugh, but the original printer bots were like fishing line wrapped around pieces of sandpaper to give it grip. So there was no teeth in that.
Yeah, I could see that working like a winch cable.
Yep.
So
just replace all your belts with rubber bands, Glenn. That's all you need to do.
Fishing line.
I'll definitely get on that. How tight are your belts, Chris?
I've tried it at varying tensions. I've gone super tight and then left them kind of loose, and it doesn't really seem to impact it. But again, I'm running smooth idlers. So
my belts have gotten super tight during the Corona stuff because I've been eating too much.
Yeah, me too. You and me both, buddy.
Some people went one way where it's like, I'm going to use all this extra time to exercise. I exercised my right to order takeout.
But it's somewhat interesting. So I'm not a huge proponent of 0.9 degree steppers on most printers because it takes extra computation and all that. I mean, on most printers, it's not going to matter. But the duet setups on these cubes, that is 1/8. That is 0.9.
That is
a
much better print.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
crazy, huh?
Yeah,
that's like one of those things that absolutely speaks for itself.
Check out the sheen on that.
That's some
Perfect
Charlie
45
Sheen.
degree stripes.
Yep.
Winning.
Yeah.
Absolutely winning.
It's crazy the difference. But so there you go. I mean, I like to consider myself good at troubleshooting these things, but this one has totally taken it off the rails. I mean, I have tried every little thing to get rid of just these little bitty irritations.
Well, what truly sucks about this now, Chris, is now I have the same problem. Thanks a lot, you jerk.
Well, I'm glad I could pull somebody in I knew.
I have a small benchy that I did too, which, I mean, if my eyes can't see very well on the big benchy, I don't know how I'm going to see it on the small benchy, but I might have to get a third pair of glasses.
Way to go, Six Eyes.
Yeah, I can't see it. Yeah, it's there. It's super faint, but it is there. All right. So then comes the question, because when I print the benchy, it's printed on the bed, and we use the large one for visual. It's printed like this, Y, X.
Mm-hmm.
Does that matter?
With that issue, I don't think it would.
Yeah, I don't even think you could 45 out of that one.
No.
Well, no, but my thought is why would it ring like this, but it wouldn't ring like this? Because I use tooth belts to go the other way too.
But you don't have tooth pulleys going the other way?
Yeah, they're all tooth pulleys.
Oh, I thought this only showed up whenever they were smooth pulleys.
Nope, I don't have smooth pulleys. That's what made this even more fun.
The only thing I could think of is so if you flipped it 45 degrees and tried it again, maybe your acceleration is high enough. Yeah, well, I mean, print
or 90 degrees.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know that wouldn't even work, but you could print like 100mm box and have acceleration the same in all directions, because like on a Benchy, you would gain accel going around the long end. Where you wouldn't coming across the back, so you're ramped up to a top speed. So maybe if you had an equal sized object, you would see the same effect. Maybe that's why you don't see it on the back. I don't know, but yeah, it's a real interesting thing to test.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna try printing a decent sized cube.
Yeah,
100 mil by 100 mil by 100 mil should be more than enough to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that sometime through the week and then have it for discussion. Well, we're not doing a show next week.
Week after.
That's what I was wondering. Do you have tooth idlers as well, Glenn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't, and that's what I expected. But why I was seeing all that noise is because squashing those teeth, around that tight belt. And that's what I'm going to try next. I'm going to try to find some decent tooth idlers and swap them out just to see if it makes a difference. But man, I've tried everything else other than that. I can tell you.
Yeah, you may have to get a tooth idler with a smaller, like a smaller bearing bore in it, and then change the bearing.
Yeah,
if you're trying to get a M6 through there. I'm assuming you're running on 20 tooth or equivalent of 20 tooth.
Yeah, I've actually tried both. I started with 20 and then I went down to 16 just to see. It really didn't seem to make a whole lot of difference, but.
Well, that's
you get down to 16, you've got a higher step rate, so technically that would make a difference, but it really didn't.
I needed something to lose sleep over.
Well, I'm glad I could help you out with that.
I got another question for y'all. And Glenn, you went with what's your build surface on yours? PEI?
Yeah, it's a custom cut PEI sheet from Printed Solid.
Okay. So I mean, would you go with a custom cut like Wham Bam Flex system if you got one, if you could get one or anything? Like that?
Yeah. If somebody would make a flex plate for that thing, I would definitely consider that.
Okay, because I was just thinking, because I've got this 500 by 500, and it's $202 for a Wham Bam that size.
Well, my whole thing on that though, and I just happen to have my Wham Bam sitting right here, and I don't know because this is the first time I've ever touched it, but the magnetic material itself, like what is the tolerance for the flatness of this? How bad does this stuff vary? What is the manufacturing tolerances on this magnetic sheet?
That'd be a question for Peter.
That's the only thing that scares me with a bed that big, that much deviation in it.
Well, I've got the 300 by 300 and the 340 circular down here, but I was like, well, PEI is $80 for a sheet to cover that, and then Wham Bam's $202 for 510 by 510.
Yeah. Well, I've always liked the surface, the bottom surface that you get off of a sheet of not the glossy PEI, but the dull PEI. Right. I like that slight texture, and of course, if I could get somebody to powder coat that bed, do a PEI powder coat on it, I'd be all over that. But the biggest concern that I have with that thing, like every time it starts printing, I just kind of tense up because if that runs that nozzle into that sheet, that was like $150 worth of PEI on there. So
Yeah.
You could always get in touch with Ken. He could powder coat that for you.
Get who?
Ken?
Oh, to powder coat it?
Yeah, he was the one that got on my channel to do the
Right.
powder coated flex sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get in touch with him, Chris? Did you ever sit down and just talk with him about doing it?
No, I didn't. You know, I don't want to say anything bad about Wham Bam because I have limited testing. I do have one, and I test with it, and I really didn't do a great job at sticking the pecs down. I have a few air bubbles on mine, but I've tried to refinish it with the steel wool, and I've rubbed it down with acetone. I just can't find the special sauce to make it stick. I mean,
Really?
I've got for like PLA, I've gone up to 70. You know, tried to get it hot. I get curling on it, and I don't know why. Maybe it's something I did. I'm not sure, but I haven't had a lot of luck with PEX.
Yeah, that's like I just peeled a little bit of the protective coating back on it, and it's that's like massively shiny, like glass.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It is
Yeah, super hard.
Yeah.
I've got the Wham Bam sheet on one of my printers, and I've had almost no issues with it. Whenever I start to get a little bit of like curling or whatever, I give it a quick rundown with the steel wool and then alcohol, and that's it. So it's been real good to me.
Well, that's good. Good to know.
I've just actually worn out the sheet on it now. It started to like chunk out a little bit in places because I've been printing on it for almost 2 years.
Scott said you have to you got to really scuff that PEX up good. I used 400 grit first round. So, you know, air die grinder with some 36 on it should do you
There
good.
you go.
Also, Chris, I sent you a message on the Twitters.
Who?
Yeah,
Chris.
We can talk about it here if you want to, but
It's up to you.
no, he's talking about the pulleys on the gears, the actual drive pulley. Those are Gates pulleys that I'm using. So if they're not straight, I don't know what will be.
Okay,
Right.
fair enough.
Now, are you using gate belts as well?
Yeah, the Gates high temp belt, that expensive stuff.
Because like when I was doing the research, that's what I wanted to go with. But like from what I understand, the Gates teeth, like the tooth configuration is slightly different than the knockoff.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's supposed to be a standard, but it's not made to the same tolerance. And
Right.
and I couldn't get Gates parts for all of it at the time, at least. So that's why I ended up just going with the, you know, plus my wallet's not big enough to buy that many feet of Gates belt.
yeah, it's like $12 a meter or something. That's a lot of belt.
It is.
Uh,
Well, I think I'm just going to use painter's tape for a while on this one.
couple layers, maybe lay some
Yeah.
fishing line in between 2 layers of painter's tape, make
Yeah.
it, reinforced.
You know, I could do like Tom did and put some fiberglass in some epoxy and just hit it with a UV light and see how that works for
stick it.
me. Anyway,
3D printing's hard, man.
it is.
Tom said LDO pulleys and idlers match Gates. And how accurate are they drilled? I'm just gonna have to buy a CNC milling machine and just make all my own.
Start cutting your own. That'd be how you did it right there. We'll buy them from you. They'll only be $45 a piece.
Oh, more. I have to pay for the milling machine.
It'd have to be a subscription service. You have to sign up.
These pulleys are really nice, but they were $9,000 each.
But can you put a price tag on quality?
Not when it's Fun King quality.
Yeah, right.
So I have this reoccurring problem. I take the Tronxy X5S and I
There's
put it
the
on my
problem.
desk. I put it on my desk. So the first run-in was building it. And so I built it. I got it to print okay. Never exactly as good as I wanted it to. Didn't match other printers. So I put it away. So then a couple months go by and I forget what a piece of junk it's been. So I take it off the shelf again and I put it on my desk. And I spend weeks trying to get it tuned and figure out what the problems are, designing parts to replace stuff, and it doesn't work out. And then I put it back up on the shelf and it's sitting there. So probably 3 or 4 months ago, actually probably longer than that, I was talking with Chris, and Chris was disassembling his for the last time. And I said, I think the big problem, because every time I look at it and I think I'm going to fix it, it's because I think I figured out what the problem with it is. So I said to Chris, I think the problem with mine is on the bed, the holders for the LM8UU bearings are plexiglass, but on yours, you've got the metal ones. So if you're tearing down your printer, can I get those? And he said, yep, absolutely. I never want to see this printer again. Sent them off. So I spent weeks tearing everything down, putting it back together, still doesn't print nice. And eventually I put it back on the shelf because I couldn't get it to print the way I want it to. And I've now hit the point where enough time has passed that I think I can get it working again. And I'm looking at it and I'm trying to remind myself that every time I think that, I'm just wasting my time.
Don't do it.
So here's how you remedy that printer. You put it in a box and you mail it to Tom Llama. And then you go, and you never have to worry about it again.
At this point, I didn't pay anything for the printer. The printer was free from my quote unquote friends over at GearBest. But at this point, I've invested probably an additional $300 into trying to get things to work properly on it. And every once in a while, I get it to the point where I'm like, oh, it looks like it's going to do a pretty reasonable job. And then I give it its first big job to do, and I'm wrong. So,
it does a big job every time.
I have
my question is this: if Chris couldn't get his to print correctly, then what? It would never cross my mind to think that I could even begin to get mine print.
Yeah, but the problem is I don't think that Chris truly gave it like full heart. Like
he never gave it the old college try.
At the point that the printer tried to put his eye out, I think Chris was done with it.
But the thing is, though, Chris normally goes and printers work. So I mean, it's like, really?
So my biggest issue with it seems to be that no matter what I do, whether the belts are tight or loose or somewhere in between, and I've replaced all the original pulleys, which were actually just bearings wedged between washers with proper pulleys and all that type of stuff. No matter what I do, it always loses step on the X or the Y. It doesn't really matter at this point. It's losing steps there. And since the two motors are working together, one of the two of them is slipping. So I have in boxes $200 worth of linear rails that I'm going to put onto it because I'm positive that's going to fix it.
Yeah, but that could be a bad stepper. It could be a bad stepper driver.
So I've replaced all the original electronics at this point, including there's nothing in terms of the original electronics. So the original board was that Tronxy 1.3, whatever it is. It's now got a MKS Gen L on it. I've run it with and without silent steppers. I've replaced the X and the Y steppers because they slip. It just, I don't know. I think part of the problem is that the bar that goes across, it has too much play in it, so it's easy for it to get not square, and that's when it misses steps, because if it shifts slightly, then it's got more resistance, but I don't know. So the X5S, yeah, it's Core XY. I've never gotten it working right. I think it'd be cheaper just for me to fly Chris here and fix it for me.
Thing about it is though, Chris, you're revisiting now. You're revisiting your other printer, that whatever, your first printer, right?
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day. I saw my A-net frame in there, but I'm missing pieces because I sent them to Ricky Tanner because his were broken.
Right.
I looked at it and I'm like,
acrylic?
The acrylic one. Yeah.
Dude, I have a whole acrylic frame. You're welcome to.
No. That's what I'm saying. No, I looked at it and then I go, well, I'm kind of glad I sent those to Ricky. Now I don't have enough pieces to even fool with it.
No, I have your mailing address. I'll just mail all mine to you.
No. The thing I look at the country bow over there and I go, you used to be an A-net. Aren't you glad you're not an A-net?
Well, I don't know, because my AM8 is still running off of that stupid A-net board that I got from you. So
yeah. Hey, I took the other A-net board that I have over here. It's up in the cabinet now. And I talked to Chris about it the other day. Steven, the Lightspeed, had sent me an Einzie Rambo that he had half burnt up. Okay. Well, it burned up all the way. I put it on my laser and it ran for, half a day and then it burned up. So I bought a new INZ, but while it was coming, I'm like, I'll go ahead and put the firmware on the ANET board that I have. So I ran my laser for about 3 days with an ANET board.
Which is absolutely perfect because a laser is burning things and so does an ANET board.
Right. I said,
It's a perfect
y'all
pairing.
two should love each other.
For some reason, my laser ran even hotter off the ANET board.
Oh, look, it cuts aluminum now.
Now, shoot, man, I was burning 3/4 inch plywood. What are you talking about? I was cutting big signs with that.
1-inch plate steel right through it.
Right?
So one of the
No,
big
I'm not-
projects that, oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Walter.
you're fine. You're fine, James. Go ahead, man.
I'd say one of the big projects, as we're talking about first printers, one of the big projects that's been on my schedule since the beginning of the year is to do a full teardown and rebuild of my original PrinterBot Simple Metal because it's in real bad shape. I did a bunch of modifications to it before I really knew what I was doing. So I put cable chains on them, but couldn't find cable chains specifically designed for the printer and didn't know how to design my own. So I just double-sided taped them to like the top of the motors and stuff. And what's happened over time is that double-sided tape let go, and then the cable chains have gotten bunched and snapped. And then I put them back together like elastic bands because I use the cable chains that you can't put the wires in them after the fact. You have to
Right.
feed them through them, right? So I can't so without rewiring stuff. And then the cable chain wasn't thick enough to pass the connectors for the stepper motors through. So I cut the connectors off, taped the wires through, pulled them through, and then resoldered the connectors on at the end. So I would like to. Oh, and the original printer board that's on it, it uses a 12-volt rail for the bed probe rather than trying to find a 5-volt one. And I blew the 12-volt rail for that on the board. So I like wired an additional wire from the power supply into the probe dedicated. All this to say, everything's a mess. The board's half dead. And one of the things I've wanted to do is do a full teardown and rebuild it as cleanly as possible. And I've been trying to find a way to get a hold of Brooke over at PrinterBot because I want to find out if he was building this PrinterBot today, what he would change and try and build it with the idea of it looks like the original PrinterBot, but it's been built as if it was a 2020 printer. But
Right.
I've been having trouble getting a hold of him to find out. So I think I might just have to do it myself.
Yeah, I think we've all done crazy stuff like that, James. I think
I
I
have
was
a
12 the
que- I have
last time I did.
I have a
but-
question for the panel.
Ooh, we
I
have
know
a panel?
Chris is probably going to outpace everybody by like a mile, but how many? If you had to count in your head really quick, how many extra boards do you have laying around?
I have about 8.
3.
3? I've probably got 4.
No, 4.
I think I've got 4 extra laying around.
Yeah, I forgot. I've got a Maestro board that was donated to me from Joe at Project Red.
Yeah.
I've got this guy that's been sitting in a drawer because I'm too lazy to set up 32-bit on any of my printers. So I ordered it with the idea of using it and then never did.
Yeah, I have a nice board that I bought off of this guy named Chris Riley.
I was gonna say I sell boards to you guys.
And then yeah, Chris has got so many. He's like, here, just buy mine. So yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's not really a fair question to ask me because companies send me them by the dozens. I can currently see 12, but I probably have 40 or so.
Well, that's what I mean. But I mean, you actually do like, hey, this is how you set up this board, and then
Right.
you go, okay, I've done my video on that. You put it in the drawer, you put your good one back on there, and you go back to printing.
Right.
Or you leave it. I mean, whichever, if you get the one that you like really a lot,
Yeah.
So I can see that. I really want to change the electron. I don't want to break down the Hypercube Evo, the one I have, but I do want to put some better electronics on this, and I may try that SmoothieWare board, that SKS base board, and try that out. But if not,
Yeah.
I'll be asking for suggestions.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I got an SKR of some kind that you could swap on there if you need one. I mean, they're not the
That's-
best board in the whole world, but
That's the board I actually just held up. This is the SKR 1.3. And I bought it specifically because it's a drop-in replacement for the MKS Gen L. It's the same form factor and everything's in the same spot. So without having to redo any of my electronic mounting, I can just put this in its place.
And I've got several Node MCUs, so I want to try to get one that doesn't have Wi-Fi and then put Wi-Fi on it, and do it that way. So
There you go.
these Node MCUs, you can get a 5-pack for like $20.
Yeah, those things are.
If you're still using the Panicot board, Chris.
I just switched that out, actually. It's sitting down here. I don't know if you actually need to see it, but these are actually really nice boards, but they do cost some money. I really like what they've done, but they're so they call it a G2C, and Panicot has taken an kind of a mini Ender 3 swap out board, and they've built it onto one of their boards, but they run riprap firmware. But then they've also given you the option to add a Wi-Fi module that just snaps on. It comes with one, and they have a module that will allow you to use the regular LCD screens rather than panel do. So it's a direct swap out for an Ender 3, but you can also use it on full discount screens and whatever you want. But they are $80. But that's half what a Duet cost. A little over twice what an SKR costs. But they do really use high-end components. They use 2209s and things like that. So if you want to step up an Ender 3, it is a pretty good choice. I don't currently use it. It's sitting right here. I only have one of these, but I do really like it.
But I figured with a cheap board and a Node MCU, then you can Wi-Fi your printer, and
yeah.
As long as I can send stuff to it wireless, because this has got to find. I'm like you, Glenn, with the FK1. It's one of those things where you go, okay, now where the heck am I going to put it?
Yep.
Because I've got this laser back here I can move because I cleaned out back here. I guess I could just sit it in that corner over there, but it's
well,
just
and
a big
again,
box.
the funny thing is with YouTube, like people look and they're like, oh, you got plenty of space, but I know the amount of space you're sitting in.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. Well, that's like you too. They see that one little section right there, not everything that's leaning over trying to fall into that space that you're in, right?
No, I've got most of it. I've got most of it cleaned up.
Do you?
No.
And I don't know about James's basement, but see Chris's basement, it's like 40,000 square feet. It has to be with all the printers that he has.
My basement is about 450 square feet, and a third of that is the laundry room.
Well,
so,
it's kind of like Neary's on today's 3D print, man. When you look around his house, he said at one time he had 110 printers that all ran.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but
I hate to say this, but that's too many 3D printers.
well, no, yeah, but and that's literally through your whole house.
Yeah,
that would never fly in my house.
No,
Right.
me either. My wife will tell you stories about times when 3D printers have ended up anywhere other than the basement.
Chris is down there with a little grin on his face because he's like, I think I have close to that many.
But they're not all printing.
I've gotten rid of half a dozen or so, and I got about another half a dozen that need to find a home. I got stuff sitting on the floor just everywhere, and I got to get rid of some stuff.
My floor is also a wreck right now. I don't know if the camera cable's not long enough, but okay, just take my word for it. I wish I had never done this. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't have a proper camera mount, so that was a mistake. Come on.
Shouldn't have touched it.
Yep.
Now
Should
it'll
put that
never
on a
be the
t-shirt.
same again.
Yeah, this is.
I should spin my camera around and let you guys see Xander playing VR though, because it's pretty funny.
Only if you don't tell him you're doing it beforehand.
He's in his chair and he's like,
There. This is the camera angle I'm using for the rest of the week, or rest of the night.
whatever. It's only 17 minutes.
Hey, look, I have two Ready Printer 1 minis. I don't remember the last time I played an arcade game.
Yeah, when I came into the studio area today to get ready, I found a couple of my 3D prints laying down here on the table. from up there on the shelf, and there's a whole bunch of them missing. So I think a fuzzy feline has been up on my shelf, and they're probably laying back behind there.
Well, I do have a review video coming. I bought and I finally broke down, and I bought a cheap one, but I finally broke down and bought a RoboVac. Since we've had this Husky, I'm sorry. I mean that it's every day, man. You didn't see it, Chris, but I posted a picture on Facebook. Glenn might have seen it. James may have seen it. But every day you get a pile of dog hair that's like this tall. Every day.
That's because you got a northern dog living in the South.
Well, no, and I didn't know it, but they, most dogs shed their fur twice a year, or some semblance of. They shed their both coats because they have an upper and a lower coat. They shed both 4 times a year.
Jeez.
So it never stops, ever, and it's not like we had a Pekingese, and it would be like, there would be seasons of lots of shedding and then seasons of, okay, here's hair here and there. No, this is every day, just every day. It's just piles of hair every day. And it doesn't matter if you brush her or not. You can brush her and an hour later go rub her in your hands coated in hair. It's just crazy how much she sheds.
I just realized I was supposed to share my new project. Now the stream's over.
Yeah. We're in the second hour. You can do that now.
Okay, give me a second to set up. Walter, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I've got something else. I've got another video. I just actually brought all the video files over here, and it's coming, and the guys know it's coming. I did get the doggy door put in. I cut a hole in my wall and put an electric doggy door in.
An electric doggy door.
Yeah, it's got an RFID tag on her collar.
Excellent.
So when she gets within, it unlocks, and then she can go in and out, and then it slowly locks back down, and you can't open it. No coons or possums coming in the house, buddy.
Excellent. Yeah, I was going to look into something similar like that for my cat, but I was more afraid that she would bring stuff in with her.
Well, dude, I'm going to tell you right now that the one I got, man, that I am not. It was cheaper than the other. Some of them are like $350. This one was $126, and now they do make a kit for you to put it in a wall. I did not buy said kit. I just kind of rednecked it into the wall, so it's in there.
We would expect nothing less,
right? Because the kit, the plastic spacer that they give you is like $100. For just a plastic ring that it screws into from each side.
And they're so cheesy made. And yeah.
I'm like, I can do better than that. So anyway, it's in the wall. The video's coming, but it's, 3 hours of video footage, and there's a lot of butt crack in it. So I've got to take that out,
Nice.
So, but it is coming. It is coming. That, and I'm doing these little live streams. I want to get this printer printing. My son-in-law never got this printing because we worked on it while I was over there, but they sent him a direct drive hot end, and it's a Bowden system. They didn't send him anything else for direct drive except the hot end.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
So James right now is monkeying with his camera, and if I pull him out like this, it's just like the old days.
I know,
right? Just teasing, James.
Now he's back.
Poor James.
I'm so sad now. I thought I could be a guest host with you guys today on Fun in the Country Basement. There. So this is the new project. This is one of my Pi 26 weight cases because it does have a Pi in it, so I'm saying it counts. This is like 4 to 6 kilograms worth of material because I've printed it at this point. And it's a full-size 2-player bar top that prints. The main body is 6 parts on a CR10. And it's got a 22-inch screen in it.
Wow.
Now, you're not trying to get this one done before VERRF next Sunday, are you?
No, I'm not presenting anything at VERRF. This is fully printed, though. It needs to be assembled. I ran into a technical issue. The front of this is modeled to take 2 24-millimeter buttons, and this was a bit of a rush job to get it done. The kit I ordered came with 10 30-millimeter buttons, so it didn't come with any 24 millimeters. So they don't fit. So I'm debating between using some of my own 24-millimeter buttons, which don't light up but will fit in here, or reprinting these pieces, but that's like a full kilogram of material between the two sides, so
Right.
probably not. But this one's modeled after parts that you can get on Amazon versus having to order from China. So it's got a proper audio amplifier, dual ventilation. Let's see if I can hide this out.
Yeah, I'm finding that it's like not even worth ordering out of China anymore. Like
If I know that I'm going to need something in advance, like if I'm ordering spare parts or something, I don't mind doing it. But most of the time, it's like I need this, before the end of the world. So,
well, I mean, the are I mean, I don't know for Canada, but here in the U.S., the shipping rates are ridiculous now, and then it takes forever if the parts even show up.
Hey, James, you said
Yeah.
that you got 10 millimeter buttons, and that's a 24 millimeter hole.
24 millimeter holes, and I've got 30 millimeter buttons.
Ah, well, like they were saying, man, just get a hole saw and drill it out.
Yeah, but then the edges of the print are going to be real.
Yeah, because you're eliminating the perimeters in that area, so then I could potentially glue something into place. I'm also worried though if I start trying to drill the hole, make it bigger, I might off center it and it'll look worse. And it's a birthday gift for somebody, so I don't want to ruin it.
Well, I would just go with that before I tried printing another one, or if you're just gonna use your own buttons.
I think I'll probably I've got a bunch of 24 millimeter buttons from when I was building the cabinets up here. So I think I'll probably just go with that. And I just need to map out the wiring because the buttons use 3 pins. One's ground, one is signal, and one is the power for the LEDs. So obviously I don't want to short out the power for the LEDs, but yeah. I can't. Oh, there we go.
Let me say this. I got to say bye. We got to leave to go. My wife just pinged me. We got to leave to go to my daughter's
no, we
for
stream
supper.
until 6, Walter.
Yeah, you got 9 minutes left, buddy.
But anyway, I just wanted to tell y'all, thank you very much for having me.
Not bad.
I didn't even let me give him a hard time.
Nope.
So
Not
there's the
inviting that
pie
guy
case
back
part.
anymore.
So this is what makes this count for Pi 26 ways. That is a pie case right there.
that little piece right there, that counts.
Yep. So I don't think I'm going to release this design for free though. I'm probably going to put it up for sale on my site because I'm a jerk that way.
You got to sell your stuff once in a while. I mean, you give away enough stuff that
I've legitimately had people saying, "Don't you make enough money off your videos?" I have one video that's made a, let's say, substantial amount of money over the course of 3 years, and that's still under $100. The vast majority of my videos make $1 to $3 max. So even when I'm just printing a small case,
Chris isn't going to chime in. He's like, "Oh, my videos don't make under $1,000 a piece."
yep. We all know Chris is successful, and we're just hanging on to his coattails.
Hanging on to the ponytail.
It's been a long road.
Getting from there to here.
Yeah.
That's a Star Trek reference. We'll see if anybody gets it.
James, I need a pie case for the outside of my enclosure. You're kind of the pie case king.
Sure.
I don't know what I would want because this is metal.
You should have said something at the beginning. James would have mocked it up and already had it running by now.
That's true. The last 3 streams, I've actually designed cases while we were doing stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I don't know what would be best.
It's metal. What if we make you a case that has spots to drop magnets in while it's printing? You can just snap it on there when you need it and pull it off when you don't.
That'd be cool. I want to do environmental, use the Pi to do environmental settings, like heater and get temperature readings and octoprint and all that good stuff.
Okay, yeah.
So
you need access to the GPIO, unless you're going to use USB devices to grab the monitoring.
Yeah, no, I thought I'll probably just hook it all up GPIO. But it'd be cool if I could get a relay to do the lights, and it's got a filter, so I'm gonna do a relay on that.
So if you map out what electronics you need, we can build a case that holds all of that.
That'd be pretty cool.
If that enclosure is aluminum.
Yeah, it's that. I don't know what kind of metal they use. I'm guessing it's aluminum sheet, but it's got it's that sandwich material that's got the aluminum on the outside and the kind of like the foam composite in the center.
Okay, we're not going to be able to magnetically attach to it then, most likely.
You need some pretty serious magnets.
Well, I was thinking about making a couple of like extra, like put some magnets on the inside, some real strong ones, and using a door clasp. So maybe I could build some that we could do that. It might be kind of handy that way, actually. I don't know.
I know when I designed this last week or the week before, that I wasn't supposed to do the individual buttons, but it bothered me, so I went back and did it. What do you think, Chris? Does it look good?
Looks good.
It's, of course, the Apple IIe.
What?
It's always funny to call things by the wrong names and see if it upsets anybody.
Oh, well, it is 5:54. We have 6 minutes.
Well, thanks for having me on today, guys. I got at least I got some of my thoughts on the table. Now I have to go actually make some fixes.
Yeah, when you figure out the fixes, then you can tell me what they are.
Yeah.
And then I need you to help me fix the X5S. Yeah, no.
I already told you how to fix it.
I think you should cut it up and make a mini printer out of it.
So the thing is, because every time I start working on the X5S, my dream is that it's going to be like my best printing printer, right? Because I've gotten rid of the original electronics, and the concept behind it is still good. So I've strengthened the frame. I've added aluminum brackets at all the angled parts of the frame, so there's no twist or anything left in the frame. It's just a matter of getting the motion system to work properly, and it should theoretically be able to do a better job than, stuff like the CR10. Is it the model for the Commodore? Yeah. Is that what we're asking? It'll be available for free once I do the video on it, because I'm worried that I'll get sued if I try to sell anything that's remotely copyrighted.
That's probably a good point.
If you're building a printer, like if you're going to build a cube printer and you want to use 2020, you just want to use extrusion that you have.
Yep.
I don't know about the X5S. I don't know what the plans are for that.
Well, I don't care what I have to do to it. I just need it to get. I need it to be a decent quality, large scale printer, but I want it to be better than my CR10s.
Yeah.
I'm trying to address the weaknesses, which is why I bought the linear rails. The X5S is 2020 frame on the top and the bottom, and then it's held together by 2040s for the verticals, I believe.
Gotcha. Well, the guys over at Exoslide are selling these for like $5 a piece. And if you have corner cubes or you have threaded extrusion or something that maybe isn't so good, slap 8 of those on it and it will be super solid.
But that kind of negates the whole. Like you wouldn't be able to run the little carriages on that.
Right. Well, I mean, like X5S, I think it's all smooth rod.
No, the X5S is the X and the Y. Well, the X/Y gantries run on rollers.
Well, I mean, but they wouldn't interfere with the corners of the cube, though.
No, when it homes, the carriages roll all the way to the back of the. All the way to the other side of it. I can't get a camera to show it. But yeah, like there's one carriage. The one carriage is wheels on the sides, and then there's a bar going between them, and then that carriage is, wheels on either side.
Yeah, I've blocked it out of my.
That's fair.
I mean, on your printer, you could design that into like that distance. You could make that part of the design and just make the frame larger than it needs to be.
Right. Yeah, they're made to use the slide because you're just running on the face.
Right.
But I was thinking in the right configuration, because they're cheap. I mean, one of those cubes, the cube where you hook 2020s, those are like $5.50 a piece.
Right. But you can still use the Exoslide on the rail where those are mounted.
Right, it's like cut. It's cut just so that it covers about half of that extrusion, so that it still runs on it.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh.
But anyway.
Cool. Well, I like their stuff. I still want to do a redesign of the FK1 using Exoslides, but not yet.
Yeah. It really wouldn't take much rework. I mean, you'd have to come up with some brackets or whatever, but it wouldn't be that hard, I don't think.
No. As far as design wise, it wouldn't be a big deal. Like the main frame is going to have to be a little bit bigger to maintain the same print, because the exo slides are a little bit thicker than the way it ended up with the V slot wheels.
Right.
Which is kind of why I backburnered the whole process. I thought maybe I could make them work the way it was. So the big issue is not necessarily the design, but having to rebuy all of the frame material. So, I'm poor and cheap.
That's a lot of frame material, man.
Old curmudgeon, no, I have not printed 1001 Benchy yet, but there is something big coming, but it's not the 1001 Benchy. And it's not just big, print big, it's big, idea big.
Ooh.
So, I got a sponsor for the project, and I'm not going to give that away yet either, but I did get a sponsor for the project, so that makes it a little easier to choke down.
I had a company send me some stuff to review for the first time in I don't know how many years at this point. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the company now. Never mind, I lied. It didn't happen. No, sorry, Elegoo sent me their Arduino starter kit. And basically, like, we want to send this to you if you can think of a project to do with it. So I have a project outlined for it.
Yeah, that's where I got the robot kits from. They make some pretty cool stuff.
So their kit is a Arduino, one of these guys. I think it's an Uno. This isn't the one they sent me. It's just one that I happen to have on hand, one of these guys. And then it's a bunch of resistors and LEDs and motors and some displays and stuff that you can connect to it. So
cool.
They said, what could you do with it? I said, I've been planning to build this. And they're like, cool, we'll send it to you. When will it be done? It's going to take weeks.
Yeah.
So, but now I guess I have to do it. So.
Well, that brings us to 601.
Yep.
Which means this is the part where I say, Chris, you got anything you want to plug?
No,
Chris doesn't need us anymore.
Just glad to be here.
Well, we're glad that you came on.
Like I said, maybe it was a stream or what, I don't remember when it was, but I was telling somebody I wanted to get a hold of you and talk about FK1. So it was good. It was a great opportunity.
Well, my email still works. You can still get a hold of me through DM. I'm fairly certain you have my phone number. So
yeah, I'll probably do somewhere. So I'll let you know what I find.
Yeah, you don't ever have to hesitate, man. If I'm busy, I'll just ignore you like I do everybody else.
10-4.
And I have nothing to offer, so.
Well, I guess then at 601, I have to say White Castle, because it didn't get said through the whole entire stream. So I wanted to make sure we got that in there. I only got to talk about cars for a little while today, but that's okay. I don't think I really have anything else to plug either. So bye. Oh,
Print on.
So this is the part where I always say thank you to each and every one of you guys for showing up, because without you guys, these streams would be senseless and useless to do.
Don't forget the thumbs up.
I'm fairly certain they're senseless either way, even with people watching. But, whatever. It is your favorite 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Sunday 3D printing, somewhat related stream with, a couple of guys, in the basement. So, again, there will not be a stream next Sunday because of VERRF. But James and I will be on the VERRF stream at 5:15 on Saturday
for the Fresh Prince of Anywhere contest.
What's that?
For the Fresh Prince of Anywhere contest.
That's right, the Fresh Prince of Anywhere. And that's 5:15 Eastern Standard Time, the best time zone. Sorry, Chris. So, yeah, definitely make sure you guys set some time to tune into the different streams that are going. I should have been a little bit more proactive and had the time for. I should have had the time to do the 3D Gloop guys stream, but do tune in and check out their stuff as well. So I think that's it. I think that's all I got. So, right? That's it?
That's it.
Thanks, everybody. And until next time, as always, White Castle. Oh, print on.
Print on.